So discussing the most impactful character on The Wire, one of my favorite TV shows since 2012, so over 10 years been my favorite TV show, watching a plethora of other TV shows, but none has piqued my interest like The Wire is such sophisticated and interesting and intellectual TV, especially talking from a streets perspective. So that show is very unique, and if you haven't checked it out, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's a very good show. But I want to talk about the impact on the show of characters and who has the most impact on the show. Now, there are a lot of characters on there. You have Avon Barksdale, you have Omar, you have Jimmy McNulty, you have Kima Greggs, you have Bunk Moreland, you have Michael, who plays the kid on there, who ends up being the new Omar. You have a lot of different sophisticated characters on the show who have complexity to them and are multi-dimensional. But even with the characters with the smaller roles, with your Bubbles and you got your Bodies and Hercs and Carvers and Poot and all these different characters, even the superstar left out Marlowe, you can't forget about his impact. There's too many names from such a great legendary TV show, but I believe the show was geared around McNulty mostly. He was known as the narcissistic police officer on the show, and he brought a lot of storylines and a lot of different interesting aspects to the show. So I believe McNulty was the main character, but I do not believe he was the most impactful. Now, when it comes to the most impactful character, I want to say the most impactful character would be Bubbles. And hear me out on this because Bubbles is not a major character, but he's very important and vital to what the show is. So Bubbles was responsible for feeding law enforcement information after his best friend got attacked by Avon's crew, and this has started the whole process, the wire of getting the show kickstarted. Now I know you're thinking that D'Angelo Barksdale's case and him beating his case alerted the judge to their organization, which ultimately got McNulty involved. But you have to think about how they got into the organization in the first place. It was through Bubbles and his information and his knowledge of dealing with the crew, alerting them with the hats and all of the different complexities that he had. Just the street smarts that he had. He wasn't just a street guy. He was very intellectual and knew the system as well. That's why he lasted that many seasons that he lasted. He lasted all the way to the duration of the show, even being an informant, and he was never made out except for the likes of Omar, which he was on the same side in some aspects. But Bubbles put his life on the line to help to take down Avon's crew after the brutal beating of his friend, and he was also integral into getting information on Marlowe's crew as they didn't have much information and they had their information wrong. Bubbles gave them the information and gave them the right, led them down the right path. So I believe he's the most impactful on the show because Greg said it best. You're only stronger than your informant is in law enforcement, and this was very true when it came to Bubbles. Avon wasn't even on their radar until Bubbles actually got them more information. Remember, they didn't even have a picture, they didn't have a date of birth, they didn't have anything. Bubbles was able to lead them down the road and get that information. And Bubbles is important because he was on all 5 seasons and he actually changed. He became an addict and then turned himself into a productive member of society when it was able to do great things. And unfortunately, we didn't see more seasons to see where he could have been from where he came from because he always wanted to initiate change. Even season 1, when he was a severe addict, he always had aspirations to change that, but his friend always led him down the wrong path and he was able to revert back. But after season 3, he actually fixed it and got better. So, um, but he was the eyes and ears of the operation. He helped create this massive show, this great show that we know and love that is taught at the Harvard classes and other colleges have mimic courses for it and just been able to do great things for it. But he showed the viewers another side of the game. He was what Jesse was on Breaking Bad, showing that being that model of change, not just showing that crime always stays crime, but people can change and people are able to do different things. And he wanted to do morally better. So Bubbles is my most impactful character on the show. As I said before, if you haven't checked out the show, definitely check it out. And always, until next time, I'll see you next time.